Maya woke up that Tuesday morning with a simple goal. Her old car had been making strange noises for weeks now, and she knew it was time to get something reliable. Nothing fancy, just something that would get her to work and back without breaking down on the highway. She grabbed her usual outfit from the closet, a pair of comfortable jeans and a soft gray sweater. It was her day off, and she wanted to be comfortable while car shopping. Her husband James had already left for work early that morning. He had some important meetings lined up, and Maya didn't want to bother him with her car troubles. Besides, she had always been independent. Even after marrying James 3 years ago, she insisted on handling her own things. She liked it that way. It made her feel capable and strong. Maya drove her old Honda across town to Sterling Luxury Motors. She had passed by the dealership dozens of times and always thought it looked professional and trustworthy. The building was all glass and chrome, sparkling in the morning sunlight. Luxury cars lined the lot, their paint jobs gleaming. Maya wasn't interested in those expensive models, but she figured a big dealership like this would have some good mid-range options too. She parked her beat-up Honda in the visitor's lot and walked toward the entrance. The automatic doors whooshed open, and immediately she felt the cool air conditioning hit her face. The showroom was impressive, with polished marble floors that reflected the overhead lights. 3 beautiful cars sat in the center of the room like pieces of art. A few well-dressed people walked around, some examining vehicles while others talked with sales staff. Maya stood near the entrance for a moment, looking around for someone to help her. She noticed a woman behind a desk glancing her way. The woman, who wore a perfectly pressed black suit and had her hair pulled back in a tight bun, looked Maya up and down. Her expression changed from neutral to something that looked almost like disgust. Maya felt a small knot form in her stomach but pushed the feeling away. Maybe the woman was just having a bad day. After waiting for nearly 5 minutes with no one approaching her, Maya walked over to the desk. The nameplate read Victoria Stone, Senior Sales Consultant. Victoria was typing something on her computer and didn't look up even though Maya was standing right in front of her. "Excuse me," Maya said politely. "I'm looking to buy a car. Could someone help me?" Victoria slowly raised her eyes from the computer screen. She looked at Maya's clothes again, her gaze lingering on the small tear near the knee of Maya's jeans. It wasn't a fashion statement, just wear and tear from normal life. "What kind of car are you looking for?" Victoria asked, her tone flat and uninterested. "Just something reliable," Maya replied with a smile. "Maybe a sedan. Something good on gas that won't give me trouble. My budget is flexible, but I don't need anything too fancy." Victoria let out a small laugh that didn't sound friendly at all. "Honey, I don't think you understand what kind of dealership this is. Our vehicles start at $70,000. The sedans you're probably thinking about aren't sold here." Maya felt her cheeks flush but kept her composure. "I understand this is a luxury dealership, but I saw on your website that you carry several brands. I'm happy to look at whatever you have available." "Our website?" Victoria stood up from her chair, crossing her arms. "Let me save you some time. The cars here aren't for window shoppers or people just browsing. We deal with serious buyers, doctors, lawyers, business owners, people who can actually afford our inventory." 2 other salespeople nearby had stopped their conversations and were now watching the exchange. One of them, a young man in a navy suit, smirked and whispered something to his colleague. They both chuckled quietly. Maya's heart started beating faster. She couldn't believe what was happening. "I am a serious buyer," she said, trying to keep her voice steady. "I have the money to purchase a car today if I find the right one." Victoria raised her eyebrows dramatically. "Really, with what, your entire savings account?" "Look, I've been doing this job for 12 years. I can tell within 30 seconds who's actually going to buy and who's wasting my time. You walked in here in ripped jeans and a sweater that looks like it came from a discount store. You drove up in a car that probably should have been junked 5 years ago. My clothes don't determine my ability to buy a car," Maya said, her voice shaking slightly now. She couldn't believe how cruel this woman was being. "Actually, they do," Victoria shot back. "They tell me everything I need to know. Do you know how many people walk in here every week thinking they can afford our cars? I don't have time to give tours to every person who wanders in off the street." A tall man in an expensive suit had emerged from a back office. He had silver hair and walked with the confidence of someone who owned the place. He was the manager, Mr. Hartfield, according to the gold name badge on his jacket. "Is there a problem here, Victoria?" he asked, though his tone suggested he already knew the answer and was on Victoria's side. "No problem, Mr. Hartfield. Victoria said sweetly, just explaining to this young lady that she might be more comfortable at one of the dealerships across town. You know, the ones that sell used economy cars. Mr. Hartfield looked at Maya and she saw the same judgment in his eyes. He didn't even try to hide it. I think Victoria's right. Sterling Luxury Motors caters to a specific clientele. We have a reputation to maintain, and we can't have our serious customers thinking this is just any ordinary car lot. I'm sure you understand. Maya felt tears threatening to spill from her eyes, but she refused to cry in front of these people. This is discrimination, she said quietly. This is business, Mr. Hartfield replied coldly. Victoria, please escort this young woman out. We have actual appointments to prepare for. Victoria walked around the desk and gestured toward the door like she was shooing away a stray dog. Come on now. Let's not make this difficult. Maya looked around the showroom. Every eye was on her. Some people looked sympathetic, but no one said a word in her defense. The two salespeople who had laughed earlier were still watching with amused expressions. She felt smaller than she had ever felt in her life. With as much dignity as she could gather, Maya turned and walked toward the exit. Behind her, she heard Victoria say loudly, "Some people just don't know their place." She probably saw the building and thought she could pretend to be rich for an afternoon. The comment was followed by more laughter from the staff. Maya pushed through the glass doors and walked quickly to her car. Once inside, she gripped the steering wheel and let the tears fall. She sat there for 10 minutes trying to compose herself. She had never been treated like that before. Like she was worthless. Like she was nothing just because of how she looked. Finally, she pulled out her phone and called James. He answered on the second ring, his voice warm and concerned.
Hey, love.
How's the car shopping going? Maya tried to sound normal, but her voice cracked. It's fine, just, they didn't have what I was looking for. I'll try somewhere else tomorrow. Are you okay? You sound upset. I'm fine, she lied. Just tired. How are your meetings going? They talked for a few more minutes before saying goodbye. Maya started her car and drove home, the humiliation burning in her chest the entire way. She had no idea that by tomorrow everything would change. That dealership, those people who had treated her like garbage, they had no idea who they had just thrown out of their store, and they were about to learn a lesson they would never forget. But for now, Maya just wanted to go home, take a hot shower, and forget this horrible morning ever happened. James sat in his corner office on the 42nd floor, staring out at the city skyline. The meeting had ended 20 minutes ago, but he couldn't focus on anything else. Something was wrong. He could hear it in Maya's voice during their phone call. She had tried to hide it, but after 3 years of marriage, he knew every tone, every pause, every small change in her voice. His assistant, David, knocked softly on the open door. Mr. Chen, the reports you asked for are ready.
Should I bring them in?
Not right now, James said quietly, still looking out the window. Come in and close the door, David. I need to talk to you about something. David had worked with James for 8 years. He had seen his boss build an empire from nothing, watched him make decisions that affected thousands of employees, and never once seen him look this troubled over a personal matter. What's going on? David asked, sitting down across from James's desk. James turned his chair around to face him. Maya went car shopping this morning. When I called to check on her, she sounded upset. Really upset. But she wouldn't tell me what happened. She just said they didn't have what she was looking for and that she'd try somewhere else tomorrow. Maybe they really didn't have the right car, David suggested. James shook his head. You don't know Maya like I do. She was crying. I could tell. Someone hurt her and she's trying to protect me from worrying about it. He ran his hand through his hair, a gesture he only made when he was truly frustrated. Can you find out which dealership she went to? Check her GPS history if you need to. I need to know what happened. David pulled out his tablet. James and Maya shared their locations with each other, something they had set up for safety reasons. Within seconds, he had the answer. Sterling Luxury Motors. She was there for about 25 minutes this morning. James's jaw tightened. He knew that place. It was one of those dealerships that prided itself on being exclusive. The kind of place where they judged you before you even opened your mouth. Call them. Don't say who you are. Just call as a regular customer and see how they treat you. David made the call on speaker. A woman answered, her voice dripping with false sweetness. Sterling Luxury Motors, this is Victoria speaking. How may I help you? Hi, I'm interested in looking at some sedans, David said casually. Wonderful. May I ask what kind of work you do, just so I can better understand your needs and budget? David glanced at James, who nodded. I'm in between jobs right now, actually. The sweetness in Victoria's voice disappeared instantly. Oh, well, our vehicles start at $70,000. Perhaps you'd like to call back when your employment situation is more stable. We really only work with established professionals. David ended the call. The look on James's face was something he had only seen a handful of times, and it never ended well for whoever had caused it. She went there to buy a car, James said slowly, his voice dangerously calm, and they judged her. They looked at my wife, the kindest person I've ever known, and they treated her like she was worthless because she wasn't wearing designer clothes. What do you want to do? David asked carefully. James was quiet for a long moment. His mind went back to his own childhood, growing up in a tiny apartment with his mother after his father left. He remembered wearing the same pair of shoes until they had holes in the bottom. He remembered the way people looked at him in stores, following him around like he was going to steal something. He remembered applying for his first business loan and being laughed out of 3 banks before someone finally took a chance on him. Maya knew all of this about him. She had loved him before the money, before the success, before any of it. They had met at a community college where he was teaching a night class on basic business principles. She was taking the class while working 2 jobs to support herself. They fell in love over cheap coffee and dreams of better days. Even now, with all his wealth, Maya refused to change who she was. She drove a modest car, wore comfortable clothes, and volunteered at a homeless shelter every weekend. She was real in a way that most people in his world weren't, and someone had made her cry. I want you to find out everything about Sterling Luxury Motors, James said finally. Who owns it, their financial situation, any complaints filed against them, everything. I also want you to pull any security footage from this morning. They'll have cameras in that showroom. That might be difficult to get legally, David pointed out. Then get our lawyers on it. File whatever requests we need to file. I want to know exactly what happened to my wife. James stood up and walked to the window again. And call Richard. Tell him I need the Phantom prepared for tomorrow morning. The blue one. David's eyes widened slightly. James rarely used his Rolls Royce. It sat in a private garage most of the time. You're going there yourself? Not yet, James said. First, I'm going to give them a chance to understand what they did. Sometimes people need to see their mistakes laid out in front of them before they can learn from them. That evening, James came home earlier than usual. Maya was in the kitchen making dinner. She looked up when he walked in and smiled, but he could see her eyes were still red from crying. His heart broke a little more. Hey, you're home early, she said, trying to sound cheerful. I'm making that pasta you like. James walked over and wrapped his arms around her from behind. Tell me what really happened today. Maya stiffened slightly. I told you they just didn't have what I wanted. Maya. His voice was gentle but firm. I know you. Something happened. Please talk to me. She was quiet for a moment, then her shoulders started shaking. James turned her around and held her while she cried. The whole story came out between sobs. The way Victoria had looked at her. The comments about her clothes and her car. The manager telling her she wasn't their kind of customer. The laughter as she was escorted out. The humiliation of everyone staring at her. I just wanted to buy a car, she whispered against his chest. I wasn't trying to cause trouble or pretend to be something I'm not. I had the money. I was a real customer. But they made me feel so small, James, so worthless. James held her tighter. You are the most valuable person in my life, he said quietly. And what they did was wrong. Not just rude, but wrong. It doesn't matter, Maya said, wiping her eyes. I'll just go somewhere else. There are plenty of dealerships. It does matter, James replied. He pulled back to look at her face. Maya, those people judged you based on your appearance. They humiliated you. If they did it to you, they've done it to others. People who maybe don't have anyone to stand up for them. What are you going to do? Maya asked, knowing that look in his eyes. I'm going to teach them something their parents should have taught them a long time ago, James said. That respect isn't something you give based on how someone looks or what they're wearing. It's something every human being deserves. James, please don't do anything crazy. It's not worth it. He kissed her forehead gently. You're worth everything to me. But I'm not going to do anything crazy. I'm just going to help them understand the mistake they made. Trust me? Maya nodded slowly. She knew that tone. James had built a billion-dollar company by being smart, strategic and always staying 3 steps ahead of everyone else. Whatever he was planning, it wasn't going to be simple revenge. It was going to be a lesson. That night after Maya had gone to bed, James sat in his home office making calls. First to his lawyers, then to his personal concierge, then to several other people. Each conversation was brief and precise. By midnight, everything was arranged. He looked at a photo on his desk of him and Maya on their wedding day. They had gotten married in a small ceremony with just close friends and family. Maya had worn a simple dress from a department store. They had served pizza at the reception because it was her favorite food. It was perfect because it was real and honest and full of love. Tomorrow, Sterling Luxury Motors was going to learn what real meant. They were going to understand that the woman they threw out of their dealership wasn't just someone in old clothes. She was someone's wife, someone's daughter, someone who mattered. And they were going to remember that lesson for the rest of their lives. James turned off the lights in his office and went to bed, lying next to Maya and listening to her breathe. She had no idea what tomorrow would bring. But he did, and he was ready. The next morning at Sterling Luxury Motors started like any other day. Victoria arrived at 8:30, carrying her usual overpriced coffee and wearing another perfectly tailored suit. She was in an especially good mood, already planning how she would tell the story of yesterday's encounter to her friends at lunch. "You should have seen her face," Victoria said to her colleague Brandon as they prepared the showroom for the day. She actually thought she could afford something here. I mean, the audacity of some people. Brandon laughed while adjusting his tie in the reflection of a car window. "Did you see what she was driving? I'm surprised that thing even made it to our parking lot." Mr. Hartfield was in his office going through the morning schedule. They had 3 appointments booked, all with established clients who were either upgrading their vehicles or adding to their collections. It was shaping up to be a profitable day. He sipped his espresso and smiled. Business was good. At 9:15, something unusual happened. The sound of a powerful engine rumbled through the parking lot, so deep and smooth that it made everyone in the showroom look up. Through the massive glass windows, they watched as a Rolls-Royce Phantom glided into view. But this wasn't just any Phantom. It was customized in a rare midnight blue color that seemed to shift and shimmer in the morning light. The chrome accents caught the sun like diamonds. Every line of the vehicle screamed wealth and power. Victoria's mouth fell open slightly. In her 12 years at the dealership, she had seen expensive cars, but this was different. This was the kind of car that cost more than most people's houses. Behind it, 2 more vehicles pulled in, a Bentley Continental GT and a Mercedes Maybach S-Class. All 3 cars moved with precision, parking in a perfect line near the entrance. "Oh my God," Brandon whispered. "Who is that?" The driver's door of the Rolls-Royce opened, and a man in an impeccable charcoal suit stepped out. He was followed by 2 other people from the other vehicles, a woman in a sharp business outfit carrying a leather briefcase, and another man holding a tablet. All 3 walked with the kind of confidence that comes from real power, not the fake version that salespeople try to project. The entire showroom fell silent as the 3 entered. Every salesperson immediately straightened their posture. Victoria rushed forward, her demeanor completely transformed from the dismissive attitude she had shown Maya yesterday. Her smile was so wide it looked painful. "Good morning and welcome to Sterling Luxury Motors," she gushed, her voice syrupy sweet. "How may we help you today? Are you interested in viewing our exclusive collection?" The man in the charcoal suit, whose name was Kevin, looked at her with cool, professional eyes. "We're here to speak with Mr. Hartfield. Is he available?" Of course, Victoria practically tripped over herself. "May I tell him who's asking?" "Tell him representatives from Chen Technologies are here regarding yesterday's incident." The smile froze on Victoria's face. Chen Technologies. Everyone in the business world knew that name. It was one of the largest tech companies in the country, worth billions. The color drained from her cheeks as her brain started making connections she didn't want to make. Brandon had gone pale too. He whispered to another colleague, "Chen Technologies. That's James Chen's company. He's one of the richest people in the state." Mr. Hartfield had heard the commotion and emerged from his office. When he saw the 3 visitors and heard the name Chen Technologies, his confident smile faltered. His hand suddenly felt clammy. "I'm Richard Hartfield, the general manager," he said, extending his hand. "How can I help you?" Kevin didn't take his hand. "We need to speak with you privately. Now." The walk to Mr. Hartfield's office felt like a death march. Victoria watched them go, her heart pounding. Yesterday's encounter kept replaying in her mind. That girl in the old clothes. The way Victoria had mocked her, laughed at her, thrown her out. No, it couldn't be. That couldn't have been connected to James Chen. Could it? In the office, Kevin's colleague, a sharp woman named Lisa, opened her briefcase and pulled out a tablet. Mr. Hartfield sat behind his desk, trying to maintain some sense of authority, but his hands were shaking slightly. Yesterday morning at approximately 10:15, Lisa began, her voice cold and factual. A woman named Maya Chen entered this dealership. She was looking to purchase a vehicle. What happened next is documented on your own security footage. She turned the tablet around. Mr. Hartfield watched the screen, and with each passing second, his face grew paler. There it was, all of it. Victoria's dismissive look when Maya first walked in. The condescending conversation at the desk. The mocking comments about Maya's clothes and car. His own appearance telling Maya she wasn't their kind of customer. The laughter from other staff members. Maya's face as she tried to hold back tears. The humiliating walk to the door with Victoria's final cruel comment echoing through the showroom. Maya Chen, Kevin said, letting the name hang in the air, is the wife of James Chen, founder and CEO of Chen Technologies. Mr. Hartfield felt like he might be sick. His mind raced through the implications. James Chen, billionaire, one of the most influential businessmen in the region, and they had thrown his wife out of their dealership like she was trash. This is a misunderstanding, Mr. Hartfield stammered. If we had known who she was, we never would have. And there it is, Kevin interrupted, his voice sharp. If you had known who she was, so you're admitting that you treat people differently based on who you think they are, based on how they look? That's not what I meant. Mr. Hartfield backpedaled desperately. That's exactly what you meant, Lisa said. Your employee, Victoria Stone, made judgments about Mrs. Chen based solely on her appearance. She mocked her, belittled her, and eventually had her removed from the premises. You supported this action. You told Mrs. Chen she wasn't the right kind of customer for your establishment. The third representative, who had been silent until now, finally spoke. His name was Raymond, and he was Chen Technologies' head legal counsel. What happened yesterday wasn't just unprofessional. It was discrimination. We have documentation of everything. The security footage, witness statements from other customers who were present, and Mrs. Chen's own testimony. Mr. Hartfield's mouth opened and closed like a fish. We could settle this quietly, he said desperately. I could offer Mrs. Chen any car on our lot free of charge. A generous gift to apologize for the misunderstanding. You think this is about a free car? Kevin's voice rose slightly, the first crack in his professional demeanor. Mrs. Chen didn't come here looking for charity. She came here as a paying customer with money in her account, ready to make a purchase. She was treated with contempt because she wasn't wearing designer labels. At that moment, the office door opened. Everyone turned. James Chen walked in, and the temperature in the room seemed to drop 10 degrees. He wasn't wearing his usual business attire. Instead, he had on jeans and a simple button-down shirt. Comfortable, normal, the kind of outfit anyone might wear on a casual day. The message was clear. Mr. Hartfield stood up so quickly his chair rolled backward and hit the wall. Mr. Chen, I am so deeply sorry. If I had known... James held up his hand and Mr. Hartfield fell silent immediately. James walked slowly around the office, looking at the photos on the wall. Awards for sales excellence. Pictures of Mr. Hartfield with various luxury cars and satisfied customers. All wealthy-looking people. All dressed expensively. Do you know where I grew up, Mr. Hartfield? James asked quietly. He didn't wait for an answer. In a one-bedroom apartment with my mother. I wore the same pair of shoes until they fell apart. I got my first job at 14 washing dishes because we needed the money. When I started my first business, I went to 7 banks before someone would give me a loan. Do you know why the first 6 turned me down? Mr. Hartfield shook his head, his face ashen. Because I showed up in cheap clothes and drove an old car. They looked at me and decided I wasn't worth their time. Just like you did with my wife yesterday. James turned to face him directly. I built a billion-dollar company from nothing. Maya has 2 college degrees and works as a teacher because she loves helping kids. But none of that mattered to you, did it? All you saw was someone you could dismiss. Mr. Chen, please. Mr. Hartfield's voice cracked. Tell me how to make this right. James looked at him for a long moment. You're going to have a choice to make. My legal team can file a discrimination lawsuit that will be very public and very expensive. Or you can accept our terms. Anything, Mr. Hartfield said quickly. Whatever you want. Raymond pulled out a document. These are our requirements. 1. A public apology issued by this dealership acknowledging what happened. 2. Immediate termination of any employee involved in the discriminatory behavior. 3. Mandatory sensitivity and inclusion training for all remaining staff. 4. Implementation of new policies ensuring all customers are treated with equal respect regardless of appearance. And 5. A donation to a charity that provides transportation assistance to families in need. Mr. Hartfield read through the document with shaking hands. His career was over if he refused. The dealership would be destroyed, but if he accepted, at least there was a chance to rebuild. I'll do it, he whispered. All of it. James nodded slowly. Good, because if I ever hear of this happening again, not just here but anywhere, there won't be a second chance. He turned to leave, then paused at the door. My wife is one of the best people I've ever known. She volunteers every weekend helping people who have nothing. She chooses to live modestly because she doesn't need expensive things to know her worth. You made her feel worthless, and that's something I will never forget. The door closed behind him, leaving Mr. Hartfield alone with the 3 representatives and the weight of his terrible mistake. Mr. Hartfield sat alone in his office after James and his team left, staring at the document in front of him. His hands were still trembling. 23 years he had worked in this industry. 23 years of building relationships, making sales, climbing the ladder. And it could all disappear because of one terrible mistake. He pressed the intercom button on his desk. Victoria, Brandon, and Christine. My office now. The 3 of them filed in, looking nervous. They had seen the Rolls Royce. They had watched those serious-looking people disappear into the office with the boss. And they had all started to piece together what might be happening. Victoria's usual confidence was gone. She stood with her arms crossed, trying to look calm, but her foot tapped anxiously against the floor. Brandon kept clearing his throat. Christine, who had been one of the people laughing in the background yesterday, looked like she wanted to melt into the floor. Sit down, Mr. Hartfield said quietly. His voice didn't have its usual authority. It sounded tired and defeated. They sat. That woman who came in yesterday, Mr. Hartfield began, then paused. He looked directly at Victoria. The one you mocked. The one you threw out of this dealership. Do you remember her? Victoria's face went white. Sir, I was just doing what I thought was best for the business. She didn't look like she could afford. She's Maya Chen, Mr. Hartfield interrupted, wife of James Chen, the James Chen who owns Chen Technologies, the billionaire who just left this office 20 minutes ago. The room went completely silent. Brandon made a small choking sound. Christine covered her mouth with her hand. Victoria looked like she might pass out. No, Victoria whispered. That can't be. She was wearing old clothes. She drove a beat-up car. She looked like what? Mr. Hartfield asked sharply. Like someone who didn't deserve respect? Like someone whose money wasn't good enough for us? Victoria had no answer. The reality of what she had done was crashing down on her like a wave. She had humiliated a billionaire's wife. She had laughed at her, made her cry, and it was all caught on camera. They have everything on video, Mr. Hartfield continued. Every word you said, every mocking laugh, everything. He looked at all 3 of them. They're giving us a choice. We either accept their terms or they file a discrimination lawsuit that will destroy this dealership and everyone in it. What are the terms? Brandon asked, his voice barely above a whisper. Mr. Hartfield read from the document. With each requirement, the 3 employees seemed to shrink further into their chairs. When he got to the part about terminating employees involved in the discrimination, Victoria's eyes filled with tears. You're firing us, she said. It wasn't a question. I don't have a choice, Mr. Hartfield replied. What you did wasn't just bad business. It was wrong. And now we all have to face the consequences. Christine started crying openly. I just laughed. I didn't even say anything to her. Please, Mr. Hartfield, I have a mortgage. I have bills. You were part of it, he said, not unkindly. You participated in humiliating another human being. That woman came here wanting to buy a car, and instead of treating her with basic decency, we made her feel like trash. Victoria stood up suddenly, anger flashing through her tears. This is ridiculous. How were we supposed to know who she was? If she had just told us, if she had dressed better, if she had shown up in a nice car. Stop, Mr. Hartfield said firmly. Just stop. Do you hear yourself? You're still making excuses. You're still saying it's her fault for not looking wealthy enough. That's exactly the problem. Victoria sat back down, defeated. Deep down, she knew he was right. She had judged Maya instantly. She had decided without knowing anything about her that she wasn't worth the time or effort. And she had been cruel about it. What happens now? Brandon asked. Now you clean out your desks, Mr. Hartfield said quietly. I'll give you references for other jobs, but you can't work here anymore. The public apology goes out today. Chen Technologies is monitoring everything we do from here on out. The three of them left the office in silence. Within an hour, they had packed their personal belongings and left the dealership. Victoria sat in her car in the parking lot for a long time, staring at the building. She thought about all the other people she had dismissed over the years. All the customers she had judged by their clothes or their cars. How many times had she been wrong? How many good people had she treated badly because they didn't meet her standards? Her phone buzzed with a text from her sister. Saw the news about Sterling Luxury Motors. Is that your dealership? What happened? Victoria opened her social media and saw it. The apology had already been posted. Sterling Luxury Motors regretted an incident of discrimination. They were implementing new policies. They were committed to treating all customers with respect. The comment section was exploding. People were sharing their own stories of being judged and mistreated at various businesses. Some comments were supportive of the apology. Others were calling for boycotts. Victoria's name wasn't mentioned specifically, but she knew everyone at the dealership would know who was responsible. Meanwhile, Mr. Hartfield was on the phone with the charity organization that Chen Technologies had selected. It was a non-profit that provided cars to single parents and families struggling to get to work. He committed to donating $50,000 in 2 used vehicles from their lot. It wasn't just about meeting the requirements anymore. Talking to the woman who ran the charity, hearing stories about families who couldn't get to job interviews because they had no transportation, something shifted in him. He had spent so long chasing wealthy customers that he had forgotten what really mattered. The sensitivity training started the following week. A consultant came in and spent 3 days with the remaining staff. They watched videos about unconscious bias. They did role-playing exercises. They talked about their own experiences being judged and how it felt. Some people were resistant at first, rolling their eyes and treating it like a joke. But by the second day, something changed. People started sharing real stories, real feelings. One salesman talked about growing up poor and how he had been followed around stores as a kid because people assumed he would steal. A receptionist talked about being dismissed at a high-end restaurant once because of her accent. The consultant asked them a simple question. How do you want to be remembered? As the person who made someone's day better, or the person who made them feel small? It seemed obvious when said out loud, but it was a question many of them had never really considered before. Back at home, Maya had no idea about any of this. James had told her he handled it, but he kept the details to himself. He didn't want her to feel like she had caused people to lose their jobs. That would hurt her kind heart, even though those people had hurt her first. I'm going back to the dealership tomorrow, James told her one evening over dinner. Maya looked up, confused. Why? I thought everything was settled. It is, James said with a small smile. But you still need a car, remember? Your old one is barely running. James, I can go anywhere else. I don't want to go back there. He reached across the table and took her hand. I know, but I need you to trust me on this. Things have changed there. And more importantly, I want you to see that you did nothing wrong. You deserved respect the first time you walked in there, and you deserve it now. Not because you're married to me, because you're a human being. Maya was quiet for a moment. Will you come with me? Every step of the way, he promised. The next morning, they drove to Sterling Luxury Motors together. This time, James was behind the wheel of Maya's old Honda. They pulled into the parking lot and Maya felt her stomach twist with anxiety. The last time she was here, she had left in tears. Now she was back and everything felt surreal. Mr. Hartfield was waiting for them at the entrance. He looked older somehow, like the last few days had aged him years. When he saw Maya, genuine remorse crossed his face. Mrs. Chen, he said, and his voice cracked slightly. I owe you an apology. A real one, not just the public statement. What happened here was inexcusable. You came to us as a customer, and we treated you with cruelty. I'm deeply, truly sorry. Maya looked at him and saw something she hadn't seen before. Real regret, real understanding of what he had done. She had every right to be angry, to refuse his apology, to walk away. But that wasn't who she was. Thank you for saying that, she said quietly. I just hope things will be different from now on. They will be, Mr. Hartfield promised. I can guarantee you that. He led them into the showroom, and Maya noticed immediately that things felt different. The staff members who remained looked at her with respect, but also with something else. Understanding, maybe, or perhaps just awareness of their own capacity to make mistakes. A young saleswoman named Patricia approached Maya and James. She was new, hired just days after the incident as part of the dealership's effort to rebuild. She had kind eyes and a genuine smile. Good morning, Patricia said warmly. My name is Patricia, and I'm here to help you find the perfect vehicle today. What are you looking for? Maya glanced at James, who gave her an encouraging nod. Just something reliable, Maya said. Good on gas. Nothing too fancy. I need it for my daily commute to work. Patricia didn't blink. She didn't look disappointed or confused. She just smiled and said, I have a few great options that would be perfect for that. Let me show you. As they walked through the showroom, Maya noticed something else that was different. There were new signs posted around the dealership. Every customer matters, read one. Respect first always, read another. They weren't just corporate slogans slapped on walls. They felt intentional, like reminders to everyone who worked there about what had gone wrong and what needed to change. Patricia showed Maya 3 different sedans, all in the mid-range price category Maya had originally wanted. She explained the features of each one, answered every question patiently, and never once made Maya feel rushed or judged. When Maya asked about the warranty and maintenance costs, Patricia pulled up all the information without hesitation. Can I test drive this one? Maya asked, pointing to a silver sedan with good safety ratings. Absolutely, Patricia said, grabbing the keys. Let me get everything ready for you. While Patricia prepared the vehicle, Mr. Hartfield approached James. Could I speak with you for a moment? They stepped aside, and Mr. Hartfield pulled out his phone. I wanted to show you something, he said, opening up the charity organization's website. The donation we made. I've been following what they're doing with it. On the screen was a photo of a single mother standing next to a used car, holding her young daughter's hand. Both were smiling so big it made James's chest feel tight. The caption explained that she had been taking 3 buses to get to her nursing job, spending 4 hours a day just on transportation. Now she had a reliable car and could spend that time with her daughter instead. There are 5 families so far who have received vehicles because of this, Mr. Hartfield said quietly. I've read every one of their stories. One man can finally get to his dialysis appointments on time. A woman can take her disabled son to his therapy sessions without relying on others. These are real people whose lives changed because of something good that came from something terrible. James looked at the photos. This is what should have mattered all along, he said. Not how much money someone has, not what they're wearing. Just people helping people. I know that now, Mr. Hartfield admitted. I got so caught up in chasing the biggest sales, the wealthiest clients, that I forgot the whole point of this business. We're supposed to help people get from one place to another. That's it. That's the job. Patricia returned with the car ready. Maya took the test drive with James in the passenger seat. As they drove through the quiet streets near the dealership, Maya was quiet. What are you thinking? James asked. I'm thinking about how different today feels from last time, Maya said. That girl, Patricia, she treated me like a real person. Like my needs mattered. It's such a simple thing, but it means everything. That's all you ever deserved, James said, from the very first moment. After the test drive, Maya decided she liked the silver sedan. It was practical, efficient, and exactly what she needed. Patricia handled all the paperwork with the same kindness and patience she had shown from the beginning. When everything was finalized, she handed Maya the keys with a genuine smile. Congratulations on your new car, Patricia said. If you ever have any questions or need anything, please don't hesitate to call me directly. Here's my card. As Maya and James prepared to leave, Mr. Hartfield approached one more time. Mrs. Chen, I know words aren't enough, but I want you to know that what happened to you changed this place. Changed me. We're training every employee differently now. We're hiring differently. We're thinking differently. You deserved better and we failed you. But we're making sure it doesn't happen to anyone else. Maya looked at him for a long moment. I hope you mean that. Not just for me, but for everyone who walks through those doors. The teenager saving up for their first car. The elderly person on a fixed income. The immigrant family trying to build a life here. Everyone deserves to be treated with dignity. They do, Mr. Hartfield agreed. And they will be. You have my word. Maya and James left the dealership together. She drove her new car and he followed in the old Honda. When they got home, James had one more surprise waiting. I've been thinking, he said as they stood in the driveway. That old Honda of yours, it still runs, just not great. What if we donated it to that same charity? Maya's eyes lit up. Really? Really? Someone out there needs it more than we do. And maybe it'll help another family the way those other cars did. That afternoon, they drove the Honda to the charity organization's office. The director, a woman named Grace who had dedicated her life to helping struggling families, was thrilled. This will go to a great family, Grace promised. We have a young man who just got accepted to college. He's the first in his family to go, but the school is 40 minutes away and there's no bus route. He was about to turn down the acceptance because he had no way to get there. This car will change his life. Maya felt tears in her eyes, but this time they were happy tears. Something good was coming from all of this. Something real and meaningful. In the weeks that followed, the story of what happened at Sterling Luxury Motors spread far beyond their local area. News outlets picked it up. Social media continued buzzing about it. But more importantly, it started conversations. People began sharing their own experiences of being judged, dismissed, or treated poorly because of how they looked. Others talked about times they had judged someone unfairly and regretted it. Victoria, sitting at home job hunting, read some of these stories. She had spent weeks angry and defensive, feeling like she was the victim of an overreaction. But slowly, as she read more and more accounts of people being hurt by the same kind of judgment she had shown, something shifted. She thought about the look on Maya's face when she was being escorted out. The tears Maya had been holding back. The humiliation. Victoria pulled out her laptop and began writing. It took her 3 hours and multiple drafts, but finally she posted her own statement on social media. She didn't make excuses. She didn't try to defend herself. She simply told the truth about what she had done, why it was wrong, and what she was learning from it. The response was mixed. Some people were angry and unforgiving. Others appreciated her honesty. But the important thing was that she finally understood. Several months later, Maya was at the homeless shelter where she volunteered every weekend. She was helping serve lunch when a young woman approached her hesitantly. "Mrs. Chen?" the woman asked. Maya looked up, not recognizing her at first. Then she realized it was Christine, one of the employees who had been fired from the dealership. "I know you probably don't want to talk to me," Christine said quickly. "And I understand. But I've been volunteering here for a few weeks now and I just wanted to say I'm sorry, really truly sorry for what I did. For laughing at you. For being part of something so cruel." Maya studied her face and saw genuine remorse. "What made you start volunteering here?" "After I lost my job, I hit rock bottom," Christine admitted. "I couldn't find work for weeks. I had to borrow money from family. I felt what it was like to struggle, to worry about making ends meet. And I realized how many times I had looked down on people in that exact situation. I wanted to do something good. Something that mattered. This place helped me when I needed food assistance. Now I want to give back." Maya smiled softly. "Then you're learning what I've always known. We're all just people, all struggling in our own ways. All deserving of kindness." Christine nodded, wiping at her eyes. "Thank you for teaching me that. Even though I didn't deserve the lesson." That evening, Maya told James about the encounter. They were sitting on their modest couch in their modest living room, a space that hadn't changed despite their wealth. "Do you regret how everything happened?" Maya asked. "Making such a big deal out of it?" James thought for a moment. "No, because it wasn't just about us. It was about everyone who gets treated that way every single day. Sometimes people need a wake-up call to see what they're doing wrong. And sometimes, if we're lucky, they actually wake up." Maya leaned against him. "I just wanted to buy a car." "I know," James said, kissing the top of her head. "But you ended up changing something bigger. You reminded people that respect isn't earned by wealth or status. It's owed to every human being just for existing." The silver sedan sat in their driveway, nothing special to look at. But every time Maya drove it, she thought about the journey it represented. Not just from home to work and back, but the journey of standing up for herself, of demanding respect, and of showing others that how you treat people matters more than anything else. And somewhere across town, a young man drove that old Honda to his college classes, grateful for the chance he'd been given. In another neighborhood, a mother made it to work on time for the first time in months, thanks to a reliable vehicle from a charity donation. Lives were changing in small but significant ways, all because one person refused to accept being treated as less than human. All because someone stood up and said, "This isn't right," and all because in the end people chose to learn and grow from their mistakes rather than repeat them. That was the real story, not revenge, not punishment, but the possibility of change, one person at a time.